Commander Zethkari watched the tactical display with growing frustration as another human vessel slipped through their blockade. The Terran Defiance, a rust bucket of a freighter that should have been scrap metal decades ago, had somehow outmaneuvered 3 of his fastest interceptors and disappeared into the asteroid field. "How?" he hissed, his scaled hands gripping the command console. "How does a cargo hauler consistently outrun military vessels?" The bridge crew of the hegemony dreadnought Sovereign's Will remained silent, their heads bowed in shame. This was the 7th human ship to escape their supposedly impenetrable cordon in as many days. "Sir," ventured Navigation Officer Yithnal, "perhaps we should request additional reinforcements from the—" "No." Zethkari's voice cut through the suggestion, like a plasma blade. "The High Command already questions our competence. We will not give them further reason to doubt the hegemony's naval superiority." A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. The communications officer's tentacles danced over his console before looking up nervously. "Sir, it's from the human vessel Lucky Strike. They're requesting permission to dock." The bridge fell silent. Zethkari's gill slits fluttered in what his species considered dark amusement. "Patch them through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a young human female with short brown hair and grease-stained coveralls. Behind her, the cramped bridge of what appeared to be a mining vessel was visible. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Lucky Strike," she said, with the kind of casual confidence that made Zethkari's scales itch. "We're running low on supplies, and we're hoping you folks might be willing to trade." "Trade?" Zethkari leaned forward, genuinely curious. "You wish to trade with the fleet that has been hunting your kind for weeks?" Sarah shrugged. "Business is business. Besides, you've been doing a pretty lousy job of the hunting part, if you don't mind me saying." A collective gasp ran through the bridge crew. Several officers reached for their sidearms before Zethkari raised a hand to stop them. "You are either remarkably brave or remarkably foolish, human." "Probably a bit of both," Sarah admitted with a grin. "But I've got something you need. Rare earth minerals from the Tau Ceti belt. And you've got food synthesizers that actually make edible protein." Zethkari considered this. Intelligence reports indicated that human mining operations had been severely disrupted by the blockade. If this Captain Chen was desperate enough to approach them directly, perhaps she could provide valuable information about human fleet movements. "Very well. You may dock in Bay 7, but you will submit to a full security screening, and you will answer our questions." "Fair enough." Lucky Strike out. An hour later, Zethkari found himself face to face with the human captain in the ship's main conference room. She was smaller than he had expected. Most humans seemed diminutive compared to his species' impressive height, but there was something in her dark eyes that suggested hidden depths. "So," Sarah said, settling into a chair that was clearly not designed for human anatomy, "want to tell me why you're having so much trouble catching our ships?" "I beg your pardon?" "Come on, Commander. Your vessels are faster, better armed, and you've got us outnumbered 50 to 1. Yet somehow we keep slipping through your fingers like smoke. Aren't you curious why?" Zethkari's officers exchanged uncomfortable glances. The human was touching on a subject that had been causing heated debates in strategy sessions for weeks. "Our tactics are sound," declared Tactical Officer Rexthor. "We target weapon systems first, then propulsion, then life support. Standard naval doctrine across 17 different military academies." Sarah nodded slowly. "Right. Standard doctrine. That's your problem right there. Explain." You fight like you expect to capture prisoners and salvage equipment, Sarah said, leaning forward. Honor in battle, minimal collateral damage, preserve valuable assets, very civilized, very predictable. She gestured to the tactical display showing the current fleet positions. Every engagement follows the same pattern. You announce yourselves, demand surrender, then systematically disable ships component by component. You're playing by rules that assume your enemy shares your values. Zethkari felt a cold realization creeping up his spine. And humans do not share these values. Oh, we have values, Sarah said cheerfully. Just different ones. See, when you're outnumbered and outgunned, you don't fight to win according to your enemy's rules. You fight to survive according to your own. She stood and walked to the tactical display, pointing at various fleet positions. Take that engagement 3 days ago with the Terran Defiance. Your ships moved to disable her weapons first, right? Standard procedure. Of course. Once a vessel cannot defend itself, the crew had already abandoned the weapon systems, Sarah interrupted. Every available hand was rerouting power to the engines and preparing for emergency jump. You spent 10 minutes carefully targeting gun emplacements that were already offline. The bridge officers went pale, or as pale as their various alien physiologies allowed. Zethkari felt his gill slits constrict with the implications. And yesterday's engagement with the transport convoy? Same thing. While your ships were methodically disabling escort vessels, the transports dumped cargo, rerouted life support, power to engines, and overloaded their jump drives. Half of them probably suffered radiation exposure making those jumps, but they got away. Sarah turned back to face the assembled officers, her expression serious now. You want to know the real difference between how humans and the hegemony fight? You fight like every ship is expensive and every life is precious. We fight like we're already dead, and the only question is how many of you we take with us. The conference room fell silent. Zethkari found himself staring at this small human female with a mixture of respect and horror. In our early space wars, Sarah continued, human captains would sometimes ram enemy vessels rather than surrender. We call it the Samson option, bringing down the temple even if it kills you. Most species find that kind of thinking incomprehensible. Barbaric, whispered Communications Officer Vrel Tan. Maybe, Sarah acknowledged, but effective. You can't predict or counter an enemy who's willing to sacrifice everything for even a small chance of mission success. She paused, letting that sink in before delivering her final point, which brings me to my original question. Sarah's voice was quiet now, almost casual, but somehow that made it more terrifying. In all these engagements, with all your superior firepower and numbers, why do you never aim for the engines? The officers went pale when she asked it because they suddenly understood. They had been fighting an enemy that viewed every encounter as potentially their last, while adhering to combat doctrines designed for civilized warfare between peers. They had been bringing swords to a gunfight, never realizing that their opponents had already thrown away the scabbards. Zethkari slowly sat back in his chair, a new respect for human tactical thinking growing in his mind. Because if we destroy the engines first, then we can't run away to fight another day, Sarah finished. And humans who can't run away tend to do spectacularly stupid things, like ramming dreadnoughts with mining ships, or overloading reactors, or turning cargo haulers into improvised kinetic weapons. She smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. The question you should be asking yourself, Commander, is this. Are you prepared for what happens when cornered humans stop running? The silence that followed was answer enough.